Hello, my name is Knight411, and today we're going to be looking at the brand new Blade of Finesse spec in the current Orna beta. Blade of Finesse is essentially a tier 9 version of Swashbuckler. It has slightly boosted stats over Swashbuckler and a bunch of brand new features that we'll get into shortly. You have to unlock this spec by buying it in the new Blades of Finesse guild, which is a live PvP guild. And once you have it unlocked, you'll be able to switch to it freely, and that will cost 300,000 orns. So it's a bit more expensive than a normal spec is, because I guess it's supposed to be kind of like a premium spec that costs more to switch to. I think it's worth the cost. I'm fine with this. And the reason it's worth the cost are these abilities. Blade of Finesse has two abilities here, Swashbuckle 2 and Parting Remark. Swashbuckle 2 works exactly like Swashbuckle 1 did from base Swashbuckler, where if you have net 0 defense, you're going to get that massive boost to your attack. Now, I'm pretty sure Swashbuckle 2 is a 65% bonus, but I was getting some weirdness with the numbers, and I know there were some bugs with Swashbuckle going on the past couple weeks, so that may not be entirely accurate. But if it is 65%, that is a nice little bump up over the 50% of base Swashbuckler. The second ability is Parting Remark. Now, this one's not very useful in PvP because you will often gain an additional turn after landing a finishing blow. If you kill your opponent in PvP, then they're dead, you don't need an extra turn. Where this does come in handy is Horde mode dungeons. And Blade of Finesse has a pretty cool Horde setup that we'll get into in a little while. For the skills, Blade of Finesse actually has a bunch of useful skills, unlike base Swashbuckler, which only had sidesteps. So Brittle Break is probably the least useful out of these. It temporarily removes all defenses and dexterity while slightly increasing your attack, magic, and critical hit rate. Additionally, you take a small amount of damage each turn. Now, that amount of damage is really small, so it won't come up most of the time, and currently it does not interact with High Tenacity on Realm Shifter, so you can't redline with Brittle Break, but I don't think you'll be using it that often anyway, because it does remove all of your defense and dexterity, so you're going to have a harder time hitting, and any little bit of defense you did have is just gone. It can definitely mean you're getting hit a lot harder than you would otherwise. Then there are 4 rend attacks. Now, these all have different features, but they all can crit. So Rend Heavy Blade, you defend for 1 turn before attacking with a heavy blade, and it also hurts you a little bit. Rend Thin Blade, you attack with a thin blade, and you hurt yourself a little bit and gain a turn of ward, so that one's kind of like a Swashbuckler version of Swordy. Rend Epi, where you attack with a straight blade, the skill is more effective in facing an opponent with stronger defenses. That bottom text refers to this skill having an insanely high M1, or piercing. I've done a little bit of testing, and I think the M1 on Rend Epi could be between 3 and 6, which would make it pretty much the or one of the most piercing melee attacks in existence. And finally, Rend Daggers, where you defend and then haphazardly throw many daggers at once. That one could be like a Realm Strikes replacement in certain kinds of settings. You do defend for a turn first, and same for Rend Heavy Blade, which isn't that great when you have 0 or near 0 defense with Swashbuckler, but I believe it should interact with the Amity that boosts your damage resistance while defending, so it could have some play there. Overall, I think the 2 most important skills here are Rend Thin Blade and Rend Epi. Rend Thin Blade was dealing consistently more damage than Swordy 2 did in my testing, and then Rend Epi was pretty much impossible to zero out, and it deals almost as much damage as Thin Blade does. So let's start off by taking a look at how Blade of Finesse works in PvP. This isn't going to be the best test because these training arena matches in the beta servers usually have people that are completely unprepared. But you can see Rend Thin Blade is just kind of going at it, dealing tons of damage. I don't know how well geared any of these people are, so it's not the best test, but it does show that it's pretty good. And I will also show the damage on Rend Epi. So it's a little bit less, but it's still a really good amount of damage, and I don't have a 100% crit rate at the moment. I will say, in this current setup for my PvP, I have 11k attack. That's very achievable with Blade of Finesse, and that nice extra bonus from Swashbuckle 2. The actual gear I'm using is this: Legendary Avalon Crown, Ornate Hell's Garb, and broken Rift Rogue shoes. along with an Arisen Gandering and 2 Trev Charms. Now for Gauntlet. Let's just take a quick little trip to this dungeon to show it off. Not going to do anything too crazy, this is just to kind of show how it works. I will just throw on a Bear's Might and a Gate of Gunner. And you can see I'm using a Brick Reuse Bow here for AoE. Let's see if I can get to a floor where I don't kill all of the enemies. That might not be that easy. Okay, so we can see on this floor I missed the Sandstone Golem, and then Mighty Mimic is obviously immune. However, it's still my turn, because if we look at the battle log here... Oh, I guess it's not recorded there. But I gained a bunch of extra turns from killing those enemies. And right there, I think Avidity and Parting Remark triggered at the same time, so I gained 2 extra turns. I don't have a dragon skill, but I think I've kind of shown all I need to show at the moment. So, that is Blade of Finesse in a nutshell. I can see a lot of people potentially swapping to this as their main spec for most content, just like people used to do with Swashbuckler. What really killed Swashbuckler was all the new Horde content coming out, along with the Swashbuckle bonus not really comparing well against specs like Raider and Oracle. Parting Remark seems to solve the Horde problem, and the increased bonus from Swashbuckle 2 compares a lot better with its larger boost. I don't think Blade of Finesse will be for everyone, just like Swashbuckler wasn't, but I think everyone can agree that more spec variety in the endgame is good, and Blade of Finesse definitely brings that. That has been my overview of Blade of Finesse. If there's anything else you'd like to see from the beta, or if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you next time.